to get rolling?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I don't do too formal of an introduction or anything like that. So one thing that you had said earlier, obviously I enjoy hanging out here, smoked a cigar.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of bourbon, which has been nice, and caught up, kind of got to know each other a little bit better.
What kind of bourbon did we had? Some good bourbon,
From
right?
Jefferson's, which is pretty good.
Good
Appreciate
stuff.
that.
Not a problem.
There's something that you said that I wrote down here. I want to open with this, and then I want to close with this, because this kind of seems like this will be the theme of what we're talking about. But you said, do it for his glory, do it for him. So what does that mean to you when you say something like that?
Well, I think in the walk of life as a Christian man, like you hear from and you read the word from Genesis in the Old Testament into Samuel, is walking upright, walking in the way the Lord expects us to be, and having a relationship with him. And for his glory is what I mean by that, is always remember the cross of where Christ was crucified and his blood poured upon us. You know, we always have to keep that in the front, and remember, you know, why he was crucified for us, and his blood was sprinkled over us. That gives glory to him.
Yeah. That's like a pretty good transition into, so we're opening with faith. So let's kind of talk about kind of how we met.
Yeah.
So we met at a church out on the West Coast,
Right.
which is where we're hanging out right now. I'll be relocating here in a couple of weeks, kind of the central part of the country.
I know. I'm going to miss you, man. You know, and we just started, just getting started, you know, and, but I have to say, you know, Micah is at heart an old friend, but in a young person's body. And it's how the Lord put him into my place, into my walk of life, was just awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and we first met each other at a men's Band of Eight meeting here at our church. And I was talking with Micah right before this, is when I first saw him about a year ago, first met him. When I looked at him and I seen him, it felt like I was looking in the mirror. Very closed off. Just don't come within 5 feet of me. We can be friends, but I don't know you, and I really don't want to get to know you, kind of type. And I said to myself, that looked like me, you know, back when I first left the PD. Didn't trust anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I thank God now that he is became a man of God, walking within the word, and being faithful.
Yeah, I think so. We met about a year ago.
Yeah.
I've talked a little bit about kind of that time of my life before, but to kind of get back into it, you know, I'd gotten out of the military a couple of years prior to that. Had some hard stuff go on in my family. Had a brother die. Spent some time kind of finding myself. Went and hiked the Appalachian Trail out on the East Coast.
That's huge.
Awesome experience. Getting ready to do another big thing like that here shortly. And when I moved out to the West Coast, it was a really hard time of my life. Honestly, I was really lost. And when I say lost, I mean, I didn't have purpose. I didn't have direction. I didn't have community. And it's not because those things necessarily weren't available. It's because I was choosing not to have them available, which is something I can see now.
Yeah.
At the time, I felt a lot like it was out of my control, and that it was other people and other situations that were keeping those from me, which is true. But it was also myself was a big part of that. And that's probably been the biggest thing that I've learned in the last year, is that it has been a part of myself that needed to develop and heal to be able to be back in community like that again.
Right.
And I think when we first met, I was still learning that, because there was something inside of me that was drawing me to community, but I was still reserved. I had a lot of trust issues. I had a lot of fears, a lot of insecurity, a lot of doubt,
Mm-hmm.
just on a personal level. And I had felt let down by myself and other people. And I didn't want people to know me, and I didn't want
Yeah.
to get to know people. And, yourself and a couple of the other men at the church were big catalysts in my life to kind of show me,
Thank God.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
man.
what I was running from,
Right.
which is the truth. And it's been a wild journey. It has not been easy. It's been one of the more transformational and harder times of my life, but that's no different than going through the academy or going through basic training, where it's something that I want to volunteer for. It's something that I know I need, something that I want in my life. And it took me time to get there.
Yeah.
And it took me
Yeah.
being alone, kind of in the wilderness, so to say, and getting tired of it.
Well, thank God it took you only a few years. It took me about 25
Yeah.
to walk in the wilderness. I felt like, I was in the desert,
Yeah.
like Moses with his group of people, and just walking in the desert.
Mhm.
It's good to see that you did find men to surround you with, find Christian men
Mhm.
that led you in the right direction. I wasn't fortunate to have that. I think if I did, I would have, my length in that desert would have been shortened. But that's God. That's where He wanted me.
Mhm.
And at that time, I did feel, now I look back, I did feel that, maybe our enemy did approach God and say, "Hey, man, let me mess with Arnie, just like he did, with Job." He says, "Yeah, you can do what you want with him, but you can't. Don't harm him. No, don't kill him."
Mhm.
So that tells you right there that the Lord has protection over you.
Mhm.
Okay, nobody's going to harm you unless God wills it.
Yeah.
God lets it happen. So it's um, I look back now where I'm at today, and I look back and wow, man, it's God took care of me.
Yeah.
Um, I'm living well. I'm still fat.
I wouldn't say that.
So it's a good thing. I'm healthy. I feel good. Got a beautiful wife, a beautiful family, beautiful new granddaughter.
Mhm.
So I'm blessed, man. I'm
Yeah.
blessed. Um,
I think one of the hard things as a man is when you want to be in a place of work, in a place of operation, so to say,
yes.
that draws people like us to law enforcement or military. You got to remember what you're signing up for, and when I think about, we're talking about spending time in the wilderness, so to say, and you're talking about being there for, couple plus decades.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's not in vain, because it's no mistake that we're sitting here.
Beautiful said, man. Well said.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what I think I needed in my life was to be poured into and encouraged by men that had been in the wilderness longer than me. Because I think for myself, and this is what I hope to share, with the next generation coming after me, from both walks, the walks of service, is that your time there is not just for you, it's for the people that come past you. And I think for me, just like everyone else in this position, we want to tell ourselves we're the only one here. No one else will understand me. And then you meet somebody that's been there 10 times longer than you. And you're like, oh, so that's where I'm headed if I don't learn the same lesson that this person learned, type of thing, which I think is the big benefit that you bring to the table. Is obviously you have decades of life experience, but you have decades of the valley experience.
Yeah. And it's a blessing to help others, because we don't know what others are going through.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you pry open a little and you see that light in there and you go, wow, I can help, Lord, and lead me in the right direction, put me in the right path that somebody else is going through, that I can be a blessing to them,
Mm-hmm.
And this is what happened. This is exactly what happened, it's in His timing, and it's a it's a great feeling, man.
Yeah.
It's just awesome, but you hit at you said something very good earlier, is that when we signed up, you signed up to be in the service. I signed up into law enforcement. And when you first go into those places, they're going to break you down, strip you down, and they're going to build you back up on what they want you to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then now that we're out of that service and that law enforcement, that's all you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to rebuild again, and you have to learn how to live in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in the service, when you're in law enforcement, there's just a certain way of living. You're like in a bowling lanes with the guards up.
Yep.
And you got to go that path. In the world, it's a whole different lifestyle. And you got to learn it, because you're built. They train you to be built one way.
I think one of the interesting things that I've learned is that when you want to enlist in God's army, well, you're going back through basic training. It doesn't matter what stage you're at in life.
Yeah.
You could be 30, you could be 40, you could be 50, you could be 100. It doesn't matter when you raise your hand, so to say,
Yes.
take that oath. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that the training's over. Probably means it's just starting.
You're learning every day.
Mm-hmm.
New things every day. I've read the Bible from cover to cover and going back through it again, and it's still alive. It's still popping up in different ways. And it's a huge, blessing. It's just a blessing, man.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have that, you've got to get it. It's the only way of life.
Yeah.
The only way. You're not going to get through anything without our Lord Jesus Christ.
Absolutely.
And seeing Micah grow from just a year into the person he is now, and what he's done. I mean, I was looking at his other videos, and I was joking around with him, and I said, some of the things you're talking about, man, I'm just lost. How in the heck do you remember that stuff? And I just, what they trained us in the academy, hey man, point, shoot, and hope you hit, and the academy days were just hilarious. They were funny. And I remember guys older than me telling, even my dad telling me, hey, mijo, it's just a game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a game, so just get through it and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right, man. All right, Pops. And that was one of the best advice that he gave me.
Yeah.
Huge.
So let's get into real quick a little about who are you. So obviously a couple minutes in here, and we're just chatting away because we know each other. But so we met at church. You're recently retired. Is that correct?
I just called it quits from, I'm working, I'm trying to, again, like you said, getting into God's army, man, and doing things for his glory. But yeah, I became a cop at 22, 23 years old, 88, all the way to the early 2000s when Compton PD folded and went to the sheriff's department. And from there, that was about when I retired from the police force, and just did odd things because, again, I was trained to be a cop. God had me out in that wilderness for the last 25, 30 years I felt like Paul, going from city to city to city, and wasn't in a right frame of mind, although God took care of me.
Mm-hmm.
God took care of me, man. And I didn't realize it till now, well, not till now, but I mean, didn't realize how much of a foothold he had in me. Not a stronghold, a foothold,
mm-hmm.
So that was huge. Look back at my children, how successful they are, my beautiful wife. We've been married for 34 years. I know other guys in the police force been married 2-3 times.
Yep.
You know, and kids dying, losing their lives, and God has blessed me with with successful children, and a beautiful home that I call. You know, it's my castle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, may not be beauty to you, but it is to me.
Looks beautiful to me.
Thank you, man.
So let's take it back a little bit. So you were working in Compton, very notorious police department. A lot of history there. A lot of crazy stories.
Yes.
You have a lot of those stories up on your own business.
I do at my YouTube channel, A Compton Cop. You know, so I haven't done much on it. You know, because like I told you when I took a break because I was just busy with working.
Yeah.
You know, trying to get things done, and too busy. You know, and now that I retired and I'll get back into recording. You know, and tell my side of the story. You know, but yeah, it was a good road. You know, I look back a good learning experience. I remember one of the stories is I worked patrol for about 2 years, less than 2 years. And I remember getting transferred to PM shift. And it was a good time because I got off a graveyard shift, man. I hated graveyard. Anybody who works graveyard and you love it, there's something wrong with you. There is definitely something wrong with you, man.
Yeah.
But I went to swing shift, PM shift, what we called it. And that's where all the cowboys were, you know. And I remember I had a partner named Pablo, and Pablo's pop worked there. He was a sergeant, and I remember him asking me, "Well, V, what do you want to do here on PM shift?" I said, "Well, I want to be a cowboy." And he looked at me, and he had Maalox and Pepto-Bismol and some other stomach antacid there. He took a gulp of it and said, "Get out of my office, man. Get out of here," you know. And I wanted to, you know, what any other Compton cop wanted to do, man. Go catch the bad guys, chase after dope, guns, and stolen cars. You know, that was the whole game.
Yeah.
And I did that. And I remember getting transferred over to PM shift. And I was there a couple weeks. And the phone rang in the report writing room. And no, not in the briefing room. And we're down there getting ready about 4:30, 4 o'clock to get ready for briefing. And they told me, "Hey," they hung up and, "Hey, Arnie, Captain wants to see you." I said, "Captain wants to see me." And I remember one guy there who, you know, I hate now, you know, but as a Christian, you know, walking with God, I don't want to use that term, you know, that I dislike.
Strong
now.
dislike.
Yeah. You know, he looked at me and says, "Oh, you must be moving somewhere." And I said, "Whatever, man." So I remember walking upstairs and saying to myself, "What? I didn't do anything wrong, you know. Why do I got to see this guy for, you know?" So I remember going up there and seeing the captain. You know, he's been gone now, Captain Paradin. And I go in there, knock at his office, and he invites me in. He's on the phone and he's smoking a cigarette and, "Sit down, you know." Yeah, what's up? He goes, "Hey, you've been making a lot of dope arrests, man." I said, Yeah. And he says, "Well, you want to go to narcotics?" I said, "Well, hell yeah. Yes, man. You know, I mean," so he says, "Yeah, well, you're going in, you know, you're going next DP. Don't mess it up." I said, "Yeah, you got it, man." So I remember going back downstairs, man, with a pep in my step, happy as can be. And the following DP, I was in narcotics, man.
And what is that? What's DP?
Deployment period.
Okay.
So it's the next month. So I remember going to narcotics and sitting there, meeting with the sergeant, and he gives me the 3rd degree. I go in there with a fresh new haircut, cologne, nice shirt, Levi's, and white tennis shoes. And he looks at me, and it's hot. It's a summer in June or July. And he's looking at me, and he's popping walnuts on his desk, you know. And he has his shirt open, big old panza sticking out, you know. I'm going, what kind of, and he's sweating. And he's giving me a third degree, you know, hey, man, this and that and this. So I said, okay. And he goes, and the cologne, it's got to stop. No, we're not having that. Your hair, let it grow out. Oh, and those white tennis shoes, they got to go. Knock that off. I said, yes, sir, you know. So he says, and your partner's going to be Mikey. And Mikey, just then Mikey walks in. And to tell you the truth, this is how good of a narcotic cop this guy was, Mikey. I'd never seen him, you know, and I'd been there a couple of years. I don't remember seeing this guy. You know, he walks in and he looks like a drunk Puerto Rican dude, man. He was funny. Great guy. And he walks in and, hey, Mikey, this is your new partner. And you can just see the look on his face like, oh, geez. And Mikey's been there about 10 years, you know. And so he says, hey, Mikey, take him into that locker room and change up his dress. He says, all right. So Mikey takes me in there. He goes, put on these boots. He grabs some boots off the top of a locker and go wash that cologne off your smell, you know, and put on this shirt. I put on this other shirt. So we go back into the narcotics office and he says, well, let's go, man. He goes, and anytime you got to check out, you know, what time you left and what time you think you'll be back. I said, all right. So we do that. So he takes me out, driving around in the undercover car, man. And he's asking me all kinds of things, you know, yeah, sure. You know, yeah. All right. So we're driving. I don't know, you know, he takes me out of the city. And I'm like, well, what the heck's going on, man? You know, so we end up at this house in Carson, you know, in the next city over. So we pull up, and I don't know who lives there, you know. And we get off, we knock at the door. So he's standing right in front of the door, and I'm thinking, man, don't you got any sense, man? Stand to the side of the door. We don't know, you know. You're trying to, you know, have police, you know, be careful, you know. Just hey. So the door opens up. Hey, what's up? Hey, can we come in? Yeah, come on in. We go on in. We come on, and I look, and I see it's my buddy Louis, you know. Oh, hey, Louis, what's up, man? Hey, sit down, you know. And we, you know, we're talking and everything. So Louis says, hey, he asks Mikey, you want one? And I'm, what? And he says, yeah. And Mikey points at me, you? I go, what? He goes, you want a beer? I'm like, yeah. All right, man. Sure. I guess this is what narcotics do. I don't know. You know, I'm new, man. It's my first day. So we sit down, we're drinking, and and we're talking, because Louis had just left narcotics, you know, and Louis became one of my best friends. Good guy, man. You know, love him to this day. And so Mikey looks at Louis and says, hey, is Arnie okay? And Louis looks at me and he looks at Mikey and says, yeah, I can vouch for Arnie, man. He's right on. Okay. We drank a little more. Then we said, all right, we'll see you later, man. And we took off. He says, you know, went back to the station. We got some undercover money, picked up an informant, and went out and bought some dope, man. You know, and Mikey pulled up to this house. You know, we did an undercover buy right there. And it's all right, man. You saw me walk up to the door, enter the house, and all this. You know, we did everything by the book, you know. Yeah, man. Came back with some dope. Went back, wrote a search warrant. Came back the next day, knocked it over, and got some dope, man, some guns. And the rest is history.
And that was the beginning of all of it, huh?
That was the beginning of the wow, the high,
Crazy.
The adrenaline, you know. So it was a lot of fun, man. And working with Mikey, we had some good times. You know, Mikey was Puerto Rican, and we had some good times. You know, and we had another guy down there named Gilbert, and another guy named Dolph Wagner. I don't know where he's at. OG dude, white guy, and another guy named Mark Anderson, and Terry. I think Terry was down there. Can't remember his last name. And somebody else. Oh, Bob. There's a guy named Bob. He was with DEA, working with DEA, and so it was fun to start working with these LA Impact, FBI, DEA. It was a good time, you know.
So what did the average gear loadout look like? So when you go in, you clock in, so to say, what type of gear are you picking up? You're obviously wearing boots found on a locker.
Yeah, man.
Someone else's shirt. But what type of guns were you guys carrying? Were you guys wearing soft vests?
But no, man, you know, that's the thing. People watch the movies, you know, and it's a real trip, you know. No, man, it ain't none of that. I just carried my 38 backup special, you know. They call it the Chief Special. And Levi's, I wouldn't wash for about a month. You know, a shirt that I was ripped and just stinky. I didn't wear any underarm deodorant, cologne, nothing. I don't see how my wife stood with me that time, dude. I know I was. I remember taking off to the river or something, and we went to me and a few of my buddies, Nene, Reynolds, Banuelos, somebody else, man. We went to this casino, and we all get into the elevator, and I looked terrible. I had a beard down to here, my hair was long, and I just, you know, hey man, look just like the part. And my buddy Joey looks over, and we had this little old lady in the elevator. She was holding her purse, and Joey, he goes, hey, so how long have you been out of prison now, Arnie? And I looked at her like, what is wrong with you, man? And the lady looked at me, and she grabbed her purse and hugged it. And I go, what are you doing? And when it opened up, she walked out, you know. And I said, what is wrong with you, man? And everybody else started busting up, you know. I go, don't be doing that, man. He scared the old lady, man. And but yeah, the gear, that was it. But only when we did raids, you know, we wore our black masks, our hats, you know, and raid jackets and a vest, you know. But it was, I know some undercover cops have been shot in the mouth, you know, serving a search warrant, shot in the forehead, bleeding. And, you know, we had some close calls, man, you know, but we never lost a guy in an undercover buy or doing a search warrant or anything like that. It was really good. You know, we were successful.
Okay.
You know?
So what is it like? What's the day-to-day like working undercover? Obviously, we're talking about it a little bit, but you come into work, and do you have a schedule, or how does that look?
Well, you had a certain set time that you come in and leave. But whatever came down from the chief's office or specialized investigations, hey, they're selling dope here. These are the guys to look out for. And my partner and I, or just myself, you know, I had an undercover car. It was a Buick Oldsmobile, old one, you know, junky, just a piece of junk. But, you know, we'd go, you know, code 6, to locate code 6, you know, you'd go park and just watch the location. So we did a lot of undercover, just surveillance. You got to know the guy who just bought the dope. You know, when they scored, man, they got that hit, they got that skip, they're happy, man. Or if they didn't, they come out, you know, their head down, and, you know, you start learning things like that. You know, it's then, you know, you would, you know, find informants that wanted to snitch, you know, because it's either a guy or a gal who wanted to get back at certain people. It was either an ex-lover, a a baby mama, you know, or just somebody that made contact with you, and you go meet with them. Okay, man, let's go. We'll get back with you, and we'll go check that place out, watch it for a few days or what have you, and come in with an informant or yourself, get some undercover money, and go by and write up a search warrant and go get the judge to sign it, and then come back and hit the spot, and hopefully, you do come up with some good dope and guns or what have you, and a body, But so at that time, rock cocaine was hitting heavy, marijuana, PCP, heroin. We didn't really see meth till later. Meth was more of a high class, you'd find that outside the city. It wasn't prevalent in Compton at that time, so, but at that, once they, you start making arrests and you start getting subpoenas. So sometimes you could be there 12, 15 hours a day, because you're working late. And your, FBI might need your help on surveillance. So you go help out with that. DEA might have some help with the surveillance. So you go help out with that. Or I got to the point where other agencies, other departments, would want to have me buy dope for them. And I'd go do that for them, because they couldn't get in there, or so I'd help them out, and vice versa, But that rare, we wouldn't call anybody in to help to do that,
Yeah.
It was just so rampant in Compton, you turn the corner, these gangsters be dropping dope, and we're running, with a gun, tossing the gun. So it was, but radios. Heck, man, I'm telling you, brother, at that time, in that year, we didn't have radios back
You could
then.
call in from a payphone, or how'd that work?
Yeah, we had a call box, a key call box at the pole, at the telephone poles, or you would go run back to your unit and click on your foot mic, say, hey, man, I need another unit out here, So it was tough, but again, it was fun, rewarding, the adrenaline rush. At that point in time, it caused me, well, not caught, I remember my first buy, man. It was, I didn't smoke, really didn't drink much. So it was about 2 weeks I was in narcotics, and my sergeant tells me, hey, man, you're up today. I said, what do you mean by up today, man? He goes, oh, you're buying today. Oh, crap. We're going to do some undercover buys. So I was, pretty, oh, man, pumped up. Oh, I never did this before. So I got a couple $100 of money on me, 20s, 40, 50s, whatever. So they gave me a list of where I can drive up to and buy some dope. So I remember the sergeant telling Mikey, hey, man, go get him ready, calm him down. Because I guess he could see I was antsy, And oh, geez, Mikey, he's laughing. Mike says, hop in the car, man. Come on, let's go. So we went to the liquor store. We call it the liquor store. Here I go to the liquor store, doo-dah, doo-dah. So we'd go to the liquor store, and he bought a 40 ounce and a pack of cigarettes. He goes, here you go, man. So we go back to the back lot, way in the back. He says, drink this. I drink. So I drank about half of it, light up a cigarette. So I light up a cigarette, and I never smoked, man. I was like, and that was the beginning of it, man. And I said, all right, how do you feel? So I feel calm. I feel good. He says, all right, man. So the first place we go to, man, is Southside. We go to Southside with the, Southside Compton Crip. And I pull up there, and it's Glencoe and Temple. And I pull up. I say, hey, man, give me a dub. And this tall black dude wearing a wife beater shirt on. He goes, oh, man, you a cop. Get the fuck, get out of here, man. Come on, man, I ain't no cop. I'm just leaving McDonald's Douglas, man. I just need a bump and I'm gone. You know, and he goes, you know, he looks around, he don't see nobody. So I ain't got no gun. You know, I didn't think I needed one. Mikey just said, hey, man, nah, you don't need it. We'll be right around the corner. I said, oh, okay, man. So he turns and he goes in his waistband. And at that time, I'm thinking, oh, geez, he's going to kill me. I'm dead. He's pulling out a gun. He's going to kill me. Oh, my gosh. And he turns around. He goes, give me the money. And we did an exchange right there, you know. And it was my first. I was so pumped up, man. I had a cigarette. And I was driving a stick. And I got my malt liquor right between my legs, man. You know, and I got a cigarette. And I'm trying to pump out of there. And I'm trying to foot mic it, you know. Hey, it's a go, you know. And we get a go. They come rolling in. When I say they, it's only one unit, you know, and a black and white is around the corner. And they roll in. The guy tries to take off and run. We hooked him up. And, oh, man, it was a high, man. It was just you know. So, and we did that about 7 times that night, you know, just going to different locations. And so during those undercover buys were very, just a rush. And after that, you know, I remember going to the bar, calming down and smoking and my cigarettes and having a beer and just relaxing. But it really started wearing down because when you're doing that day in and day out, so I would start about noon. I'd have court about 9 to 12 court, or 12 to 9 working, or maybe be in court till 3, and then drinking till 10 o'clock to 4 in the morning, and then coming home. And that was about 3 to 5 nights a week. You know, you don't realize it sucks you in. Yeah. You know, and so yeah, that was like the daily, man. You know, waking up in the morning, the wife getting the kids ready, and I remember my boy looking at me and just smiling at me like, "What are you doing, Dad? You know, what's up?" And one eye open, trying to wake up, you know, and it was a life, man. You know.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that you see a lot in like the military and law enforcement is it's such a fast-paced and demanding mentally job.
Yeah.
That it's like you have to find those de-stressors, and before you know the healthy ones, you go to the non-healthy ones. You know, drinking's so heavy, and even, you know, other things are very heavy in both of those worlds. You know what I mean? In military and law enforcement, of guys looking to turn it down, because you turn it on and you think, oh, I can just turn it off when I end my shift. You can't.
You can't. Like no, you don't.
You turn it on and it's on for years.
Yeah. Even like I mentioned, when I saw you, you know, the first time you were hitting 10s, you were still there at a 10, and it's cops that when they're off duty, they're really never off duty. You know, they got their gat on them. They're always, you know, prepared for something to go wrong. They're looking at exits. They're looking at people in the restaurant or anything like that where they're at. And so you're never at a relax. So you would put that alcohol in you to at least get, even when I was at the bar, man, you know, I remember sitting there drinking with, you know, the guys, you know, Ladd, Brennan, and, you know, another few guys. And, you know, a guy came up to me and says, hey, man, you want to buy some weed? I looked at him. What? I said, yeah, man. I got a couple pounds in my trunk, man. I was like, yeah, hold on, man. So he walks out, and my buddy Jeff says, hey, what did he ask you? And I said, he asked me if I wanted to buy some weed, man. He says, well, let's go get some money from the station and let's go make the exchange. And I said, no, man, I'm not even I've been drinking, and I'm done, man. I know. So it's like it never turns off.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's something else, man.
I think one thing that's kind of fascinating about like the narcs world is the confidential informant. So you talked about, a lot of time it's like a wayward lover or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But is it like post arrest that you link up with them, or do they come to you? How does that relationship start?
You do. Some of the arrestees that are, have been arrested for dope or a gun or even domestic violence, they would want to talk to a detective to figure out, hey, how can I get out of here?
Mm-hmm.
Or you would look at the jail roster, who got arrested, run their rap sheet, see what's going on. Could be their second Frank, they might be on their third. So you go speak
Frank,
to them.
felony.
Yeah. And you you go talk to them, see what they got. I've been fortunate that way. Others, no, man, I'm all right, But I remember being down there and having a jaded lover call in, and at that time, we did find 10 pounds of methamphetamine, in the trunk of a car that was leaving, and yeah, she was a jaded lover, man, and wanted, her baby daddy to be, hooked up. So,
And is there anything in it for her at that point, or is it just revenge?
Revenge.
Mm.
No, she kept confidential, so we did, we just went out there again, code 5 the area, and just watched it, and everything that the confidential informant said was there, and pulled the car over, got a search warrant, searched it, and there it was, and so it was good. Some things do pan out, others, but we tried to do all the best we could, with the resources we had.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, it was tough though, but fun.
Yeah. What other like memorable stories stick out just from times in narc, being undercover, or anything else kind of memorable stick out?
Oh man, there's so many. I still remember, when we first started, we had a tow truck, that we would I would be the hook man or the hammer. Another guy would be the lock. Another guy would be the driver. So Mikey would be the hook. I'd be the hammer, and boom, and just see that door just getting ripped off was huge, and funny things, I remember when we hit this house, it was clean. There was no dope. We didn't find any dope or money inside the house. And I was like, in my form, it was telling me it's there, there's, this was one instant. The money's there. There's got to be some money there. So, man, so I go on the side of the house, smoking a cigarette, and I was going, oh my gosh, where's this money at? What's happening? So, I remember there was about from that door to the end of my house there, bags of trash left out. Looking at the backyard looked cleaned up. I was like, oh, it's probably trash. And I kicked one of the bags and it felt a little weird, So I opened it up and there was 1s, 5s, and 10s in there. In the whole bags. So we got a little hit there. It was, I can't remember how much money, maybe 10 grand at the most, So that was doable. And I remember going to another house and hitting, there's got to be dope here. And my informant's telling me there is, it's there. And we searched, we got the dog in there, nothing, no hits. And afterwards, I remember his mother being in bed, and she was about a 600-pound woman, and she was laying on the bed. So we couldn't move her. you know. The dog didn't hit on anything. So I called back my informant and I'm going, dude, the money dope isn't here. Where is it at? I don't know. It's there, man. It's there. I just bought some, and he, after we're gone, I call him, dude, we came up with a zero. He said all the dope and money was under the mattress, between the mattresses of his mom, his 600-pound mom.
Jeez.
So we missed that, things like that, and, but yeah, just a lot, man, but it doesn't stop. You think, when I first went down there in narcotics, you think, hey man, we're going to rock. We're going to, do something here, Nah, man, it's a supply and demand,
Whack-a-mole, basically.
Yeah. Whack-a-mole. I was just telling that to my wife the other day, man, and it's just a whack-a-mole, you'll never get rid of it. I don't think you will,
Yeah, that's how we felt about some of the guys overseas.
Right.
You know what I mean? You wash out one group, another one's going to pop up.
Yeah.
It's ideology for the world. Same thing with drugs. It's something different. There's always going to be somebody supplying it. The face will look different.
Right.
It'll come from a different place, but it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
People want drugs. People want to be evil. So they're going to find a way. Do you remember any close calls for yourself personally, or anything where you're just outside of the first time where he's going to shoot me? Do you have anything like that you can share?
Yeah, like I told you, the first time buying dope, but he didn't end up having a gun, but I remember serving a search warrant. Some guys went to the back of the house. I go to the front, and me and, I think it was Gilbert, we went to the front, and, they started shooting in the back, shotgun blast. And then bullets were coming through the front of the screen door, the security screen door. So we're shooting back through the screen door and hopping off to the side of the porch. Nobody got hit, but after, gunfire was done and everything was code 4, we go back there, and one of the detectives got scared. The reason why he shot is because a dog, I guess, came running at him. He shot at the dog with a shotgun. And, so that was scary. Another time doing some undercover buys again. My partner Gilbert was going to retire in a couple weeks. We go to Farm Dog, the farms, and they were known as Farm Dog Compton Crips, So we go there. Well, my partner, he does an undercover buy with some PCP there. He rolls and says, hey, it's a go. So we pull in. I don't know what happened to the sergeant, this guy Bob, and he just driving by. I don't know where he was going. And we pull over the two guys, try to get them, one to the ground. The other guy runs in the house, and we get him detained. He bobbles a bunch of PCP right in front of us. And the other guy comes out with guns, and he starts capping at us. We start capping back. He takes off. We're chasing him through the yards of the farms. And those farms are, quarter acre, half acre lots. They have horses back there, a lot of them. And we're chasing them. We cordon off the area, get some units there. At that time, PM shift was coming on. We get the dog there. Dog gets him, a few houses down. It was close, because, again, shots are ringing out. We're firing back. And, but, my partner was going to retire in a couple of weeks, man. And thank God he didn't get hit.
Yeah.
And that was close.
What type of guns did you guys carry during the actual raid piece?
Yeah. We had a policy of you can really carry what you wanted, but I carried a 45.
Okay.
I love it. Colt 45. My partner did. I think everybody down there did, we didn't change over to, we changed over, years had gone by to 10 millimeter Berettas, and those are nice. I think the grip was a little too chunky.
That 10 mil for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the 45s, you know, even though they didn't hold many rounds, but they got a lot of power, stopping power,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But yeah, you know, so there's a lot of close calls, man.
Yeah.
You know, I remember we would do reverse stings, and those were fun.
What's that? What's a reverse sting?
Well, we would get dope from the vault. Like one time we did a reverse sting of PCP. There was heavy selling of PCP in this one area in the farms again. So we would get all this PCP, you know, divvy it up to little vials, and we would sell it to customers, you know, that would come in, you know. So my buddy, we get it approved by the judge, make sure everything was kosher and everything was good. We get that PCP back, and we'd go out, take over a spot, and buyers would come up. We'd do an exchange right there. They would drive off. We'd have cops waiting at the end, stop them, hook them up, recover the dope. We get the money, you know, and write up a report, hook them up. The next one would come up. So it was reverse thing. So my buddy, I had never done that, you know, at first. So I teamed up. It was myself and another guy who did it. We were the sellers. His name was JJ. And JJ was an OG black dude, man. This guy, God rest his soul, his name was Jasper Jericho Jackson. And he would talk.
Name.
Yeah, isn't it a strong name? And he'd talk like this. He would say, V, this is what we're going to do, you know. And it was awesome working with him, man. I mean, he knew it all, man. And he worked narcotics. He looked like Mr. T. That guy had arms the biggest of thighs. He was a bad dude, you know, and was in Vietnam. A lot of respect to him, man. Born and raised in Compton, I believe. And he taught me how to sell dope, man, out there. He had done it several times. You know, one of the kindest black men that I worked with ever. He'd give you the shirt off his back, man.
Yeah.
You know, and I loved him. And he taught me how to do that. And and Mike, he taught me how to, you know, prepare the dope, get it ready, you know, by the judge's signatures, and getting it tested and making sure that we are selling PCP. It's not fake, you know, because that's against the law. And so it was a lot of fun, man. And we did that with rock cocaine. Same thing, you know. We'd do that. And what else? So, you know, and we did John. We work. We call it the John.
The, like, prostitution.
Yeah. But I can't remember what they called it, man. So we would, you know, get a couple of female cops to work the boulevard, and we'd hook them up then, you know. Or I was the John picking up the prostitutes. And I hated that. That was one of the worst things, because you'd pull up and they'd get in the car and they were stinky. They were, you know, not good. Oh man. And I remember getting them in the car, and they would say, ooh, I still tease my wife to this day, and she teases me too, because I remember this one getting in the car. Ooh, baby, we're going to have some fun tonight. It's my birthday. Yeah, you know, you fine. Oh, baby. And oh my gosh, I'm like, don't touch me, you know, just get away from me. And, you know, yeah, oh yeah. And then the cop would, you know, would pull me over and get her out, and I'd have it recorded, you know, that they would, you know, do their services and things like that. And, but I remember getting out and, you know, getting stretched out on the hood and getting slapped at the back of the head, because they wanted to play it off, you know. Sometimes my buddies would get a little too rough with me, you know, especially Louis, that cabron, man. You know, he would hit me in the head, or, you know, get on your knees. I'm going, Louis, man, what's wrong with you? Get on your knees. I was just like, knock it off, man. You know, you're killing me, dude. You know, but we had fun. And then I remember we must have did about 15 that night. and I pulled in the back lot, and one prostitute saw me and, that's him. That's the mother effer that got us. I was like, oh my gosh,
Repeat customer.
Yeah, man, and they were all lined up to getting out of the jail van, going into the jailhouse, So it was fun. We did all that, man, so really good times.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, that probably sounds like a good little transitional space before we jump into episode 2. Now we got a couple other topics that we'll get into.
Great.
Anything else
all
that
right.
Sticks out from the NARC times, or are you good to finish it off there?
I'm good to finish it off there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. If we got anything else we hit in the next episode, yeah, we'll go through it.
Awesome, man. Well, those are great stories.
All right.
Watch out, Johns. Don't go out there looking. Don't buy drugs.
Don't do it, man.